So I get a disturbing phone call or a funny phone call. It can go either way, disturbing or funny. It's up to you. You decide. Here's the story. A good friend of mine was on his way home from work. And while he was driving, he had these thoughts in his head and he didn't know how to resolve the problem that he had just experienced. And he needed somebody to talk to bounce ideas off of, and to figure out a solution, or maybe figure out exactly what was going on, because what he had just experienced as a special education teacher, boom, blew his mind. He had heard and seen a lot of things, but he hadn't heard and seen this particular thing that this particular student had done on this particular day, which was the very first day of the school year. So he says, "Hey, Greg, I want to tell you something that happened." And I'm like, "All right, what happened?" He said, "Man, I have a student who came up to my desk." He said, "I had previously taught his brother. His brother was in my class, and he was a regular, normal, troubled child. But it was nothing specific that stood out than any of the other troubled children. But this particular dude's brother walks up to his desk. He's the younger brother. And my friend looks at the kid and he says the kid's name is Leon. He says, "Say, Leon." He said, "How you doing, man? Good to have you in my class." Well, little Leon, who is probably about waist level, a little higher than waist level in height, because he's a young kid, in special education. He says, as soon as he says, "Hey, Leon, what's up?" Leon looks at him and goes, "Click, click, 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 click." And he's like, he didn't know what to do it at first. So he was like, "Hey," and he smiled. He's like, what you talking about, Leon? What you doing?" And Leon does like this. Click, 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 blah, 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 blah. Click, 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 click. Leo's talking as if his vernacular is a pistol or a semi-automatic rifle. That is how Leon speaks. And he says, he's looking and he's disturbed, and it dawns on him. He's like, oh, he's speaking as if his language is a pistol. And so he's really disturbed. When he tells me this, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I just start laughing. I'm like, oh, man. Poor little Leon, man. I don't know where he got that from, but somebody in his family must speak the language of pistol. Listen, the reason he called me is because I was in prison, and he knows that I was locked up with a lot of the little dudes like this as fathers, the dudes I came up with. And yes, I've heard some crazy speaking people in prison. I remember when I was in one jail I was in, there was three men bunks. There was bottom bunk, middle bunk, third bunk. And I was on the top bunk. Another little dude named Sammy, he was in the middle bunk, and another dude named Kevin, he was in the bottom bunk. Well, Sammy was a little younger dude from the country, and he spoke like this. I'd be like, "What's up, Sammy? Man, how's it going? Man, how's your day going?" And Sammy go, "Hey, man, go, I seen that, bro." Dude, hey. And I'm like, "Yeah, you right, Sammy." And I remember talking to Kevin about it. I said, "Man, you ever understand what Sammy's saying?" He said, "I got to listen real hard to figure out what Sammy's saying." But everybody who knew Sammy understood what Sammy was saying. Now, we got to be around him long enough so we knew when Sammy came up and he's like, "Man, rock, bro, and I want to get some of that." He was asking for some coffee. "Oh, yeah, I got you, Sammy. Want some coffee?" Say, "Sammy, you mind filling my cup up with water when you go over there?" Man, the water cup, man. Say, and I'm like, "Ah, yeah, here you go, man. Here's some coffee for you, man. Fill my cup up so I can make me some." Bye. All right, that's how Sammy communicated, right? But it's a tragedy when people speak like that. And in prison, they call that ebonics. You can get upset with me all you want. I didn't make the name up. I learned that when I was in prison. Dudes taught me that. I had black dudes tell me, yeah, some dudes, they speak that hood talk, right? But I ain't really never heard nobody speak like a pistol. But this poor little dude, Leon, who's coming up already in special education, he's probably already got the odds stacked against him. He ain't even learned how to speak. His family ain't teaching the boy how to talk. So he talks like a semi-automatic rifle. And I said, what he did, man, when you said what you saying, he said, was like, I said, what? Like, the little kid was like, and I'm like, yeah. So he said, finally, he just looked at him. He's like, he didn't know what to do. So he gave him a fist bump. He put his fist out like that. Little Leon bumped his fist. And he said, all right, Leon, man, be good, man. And Leon was like, click, click, click. And walked off. But that was the only conversation that they had on the first date. And he's saying he got to be with this student for the rest of the year. And now he's got to come up with a game plan to deal with this serious issue, this fluency that this student has with communication. I'm sure he's going to get a speech therapist. I understand speech therapy a little bit because my wife is a speech therapist. But let me tell you something, man. I don't know what I would do if I was in the school system and little dude started talking like a pistol. You got to figure out what he's saying. See, his people know what he's saying, right? I did time in a cell block. I was telling him, because he was asking me about have I experienced this before. I said, not really necessarily people talking like a pistol, but I went to jail back in the day when No Limit Records was a thing and they had that hootie hoo, you know what I mean? So I remember being back in the cell block and dudes would have conversations and I would listen, to the conversations. They'd be talking down the tier, one cell to the next, and dudes would be like, hootie hoo, whoop, 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 wah, 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 like BG from Hot Boys, wah, wah, wah. See, all that means something. Now, see, the longer you sit in prison, the more you understand what wah, that means like I'm good. Or wah, that means like I'm chill, bro, man, I'm good, man. Don't bring no heat. Another one be like wah, that means the man coming down the block. So you got to understand what the wah means and the emphasis on the wah. That might mean I'm bent. Wah, you know what I mean? Or it might be whoa day. That's just like it's all good. Whoa day. When it's like whoa day, that means they checking you. Whoa day. That means there's danger. Whoa day. Means something could kick off. You know what I mean? So you got to learn the languages. Now, some people can speak pistol and some people can speak semi-automatic, but I haven't. I ain't been around Leon long enough. I can speak whoa, whoa, wah, wah, nah, nah, nah. I understand that because I did almost 10 years in the Louisiana prison system. And the dudes from New Orleans rock like that. From Jefferson Parish down to Baton Rouge and all that. Grunts and groans, right? But you got to learn what they're saying. So there ain't no class that teaches pistol talk. So now he got to spend the entire time figuring out how to talk to this little dude like a pistol. So now he got to figure out what 2 clicks mean. Click, click. You know what I mean? I don't even know. So that must be like the click, click, or click, click, release it. You know what I mean? Because you got it first click, rack chain back. Then you can hit the thing, clack, put it around. You know what I mean? So, or hit that clip, drop that click out, hit that clip in, and pop, 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 pop. You know what I mean? And then automatic, pop, 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 semi-automatic, pop, pop, 2 shot. You know what I mean? 6 shooter. You know what I mean? So you got to learn to speak the language. I need to do a better job because I can't speak pistol. I can't speak 9mm. I can't speak, you know what I mean? AK-47. I don't know how to speak that language yet. I don't think I'm going to learn it because there's no need to. But when I was in prison, I spoke Wody. I did a little bit of Wody. I could do a little Wody. Wow, what's up? You know what I mean? I knew it. I rocked. I did the thing. I joked. That's how you did your time. You know what I mean? But it was just a crazy conversation, and it was a legit concern that he had. But I'm going to go on some real stuff. It's the parents of the little boy who's teaching him how to talk like a pistol. They the ones who should be to blame. And they're going to blame the school system when this little boy goes to prison because that's likely where he's headed. And that's a reality that we don't want to deal with. And it ain't nobody's fault. It's the community's fault. You know what I mean? Saying that that's okay. That they're letting the little boy who's 8, 9 years old speak like a gat, like a strap. You know what I mean? Like a heater. You know what I mean? That's what the little boy's speaking like a hammer. Ah, boom. That's what the little boy's speaking like. So, I don't know, man. Maybe you could be the person who writes a book, a dictionary on gun talk. You know what I mean? With the emphasis on how to pronounce the words and exactly what each word means, what each click means. Clack, clank, pow, boom. Everything got a meaning. If you know what it means, share in the comments. Anyway, give me a like and subscribe to The Pen and the Shank, where we do things different and we talk about stuff that nobody else ain't talking about. Ain't nobody else covering pistol talk. Bet you that. Bet you didn't hear nowhere on YouTube where someone's talking about how to communicate like a pistol as a human being. Hey, people identify as a lot of things. J.R. Tolkien, he wrote an elven tongue, created his own language. Listen, they got Wody language and they got pistol language. That's real. We talk about that on The Pen and the Shank. Give me a like and subscribe. Let's go.